From its very beginning, the Salvation Army has used creativity to reach those who need it most and make a positive impact in the world.
So in 1885, Florence Booth was in charge of the Women's Social Work Refuge and found out that young women were being prostituted and sold into sex slavery around England, and said, we need to do something about this, because people just straight up didn't believe it. Her and Bramwell Booth teamed up with a journalist and a brothel owner to purchase a 13-year-old girl called Eliza Armstrong for £5 from her mother. They spirited her away to France, to the Salvation Army there, to keep her safe, and the whole time the journalist was writing about this. The papers all had a disclaimer that said, look, if you're squeamish, if you're a prude, if you don't like reading disgusting things, don't buy this paper. And so of course everybody bought it. Through that outcry that happened, they were able to take a petition to Parliament, and they received 393,000 signatures over 17 days on raising the age of consent from 13 years old to 16. They were successful. The age of consent was raised and continues to remain at 16 years old today, effectively ending sex slavery in England at that time.
In 1892, there was this guy, Captain Joseph Perry. He was making his own glass lantern slides and using them in his sermons and lectures, and people were loving it. Because of the impact that this was having, he was invited to the Melbourne headquarters, where he was asked to assist in producing lantern slides. From this, the Limelight Department was born. Herbert Booth and Perry began work on Soldiers of the Cross, which could be considered as the world's first feature film. The presentation premiered at the Melbourne Town Hall to a crowd somewhere between 3,000 and 4,000. In order that Soldiers of the Cross could be seen by a wide audience, the Limelight Department created groups known as Biorama companies. Teams travelled throughout Australasia, presenting the material that the Limelight Department had produced. Screenings were held in local halls, or even projected onto the side of buildings so that passers-by could see. The Limelight Department produced 300 films, making it one of the largest film producers of its time. Between 1898 and 1911, the Salvation Army was a world leader in short narrative fiction films and documentaries of a national significance.
It's 1897 and Herbert Booth is the territorial commander for Australasia, and he comes up with this idea about going into the tea trade, and he starts a tea company in Melbourne called Hamadava as a way for Salvation Army officers and Salvationists to connect with communities, to have a presence around every table where people are sharing a meal, but also to be able to raise funds for the work that the Salvation Army is doing in faraway countries where this stuff is growing. I don't even think they realised they were doing this, but one of the other things that Hamadava achieved at that time was a very early model of what we would know today as fair trade or ethical trading. They paid a fair wage for the produce that they were buying. They also gave the farmers who were growing the product a chance to buy back the land, so it would give them independence and control over what they did with their lives and their income.
The Salvation Army has an incredible legacy behind it, one full of creativity, risk-taking and audacity. It's easy to say, look what we did, and call it a day. But God is calling every one of us to look forward and say, look what we'll do. It's our turn now to influence the culture of the world, to take creative risks, to lay foundations for those to come, to boldly bring the gospel message to a world in desperate need. Now, what will you do